So this talk about linked list again, and that I I just feel that yeah. Without further ado, let's get into it. So obvious, we need to start establishing everything first per se. So spell obvious linked list, and always that you want to argue against linked list. It's always the brute force. And for conditions, obviously you have the after and the before rulebook. So I feel this is very much about the going through the playout series for us to actually learn about these nodes for this Leetcode question per se. So obvious, we're gonna play it out for this ones straight in. So the special thing is for this is that it has two passes. That means it has like two phases per se. So what it does is saying that at okay, say at the first stage, they're gonna create a hash map. So they first straight up create a hash map. So obvious, hash map always have like some sort of like a key and a value to it per se. So for so whatever is like written over here, I believe is the key. So it's like being represented all over this area. I believe this is the key, and then their value, it will be all these actual nodes that they are gonna do all this sort of like manipulation that's going on in this diagram. So this thing is basically attached to the V, and the K is represented all around over here. So that's the first stage. So I mean, there's a reason for them to do everything this way. So I think it's more intuitive and logical to actually explain about the brute force that explains the problem per se. That's why we need to use this thing, this mechanism. So the first thing is that the thing that okay, we want to create a linked list, and that some of this is like the first one is set out to point to somewhere. Second node point towards the first. Third is pointing to a future node that is not even established in the first place. That is theoretically impossible. That's why you need to think of a way. Okay, how can I do that? So this first method is saying that you go through the brute force method. You establish the nodes, and start pointing. The thing about you creating these nodes that you want to start pointing, you need to know where your node is before you start actually pointing, before you do the action verb, because what is actually arguing is this. So linked list has this one property, is that it can do action verb to somewhere. But in order for you to actually do the action verb, you need to have like a reference to your nodes. So for this case, it has no reference to its nodes. That's why you are like, oh no, what do I do over here? So that's why you come with the solution of saying doing these two passes, where the first pass is that, okay, I'm gonna create a hash map. I'm gonna map it out. I'm just gonna enter in that I have 5 nodes, right? So I believe the key over here is that it has 5 nodes, and the hash map, the value per se, is the ones that is starting to link each of the nodes per se. But what they actually say over here is that actually the value is actually equivalent to the nodes at second stage, and for K is actually the nodes for the first stage. So there's actually two groups of nodes I can imagine. Yeah. I just feel that whatever you're doing at the first pass is you're sort of like creating dummy nodes per se. I just feel like the first stage is very much dummy nodes, so that you the actual gameplay is at the stage 2 where you are manipulating the second group of nodes. That's my take. That's my theoretical guess. Yeah. So before anything else, just reiterate, go back again. One of the property for linked list, when they want to activate the action verb, is that they need to have like the reference nodes. So if it's not being established, you can't do it. So it needs to be sort of like established, right? So and that's why we create this sort of like dummy node per se. So like I said, time and time again, I just feel that dummy node is sort of like a subspell per se. So dummy nodes, and we are using the hash map for us to actually do that this time around, because usually it's just one random node that's appearing out of nowhere, you know. But this time around we are creating one whole group of like dummy nodes, I'll say, and it's using this hash map, a group of dummy nodes, and then we can start to actually attach them all the way to the second group of nodes, and then we can start actually doing the manipulation, because we want to fight against this action verb that you need to do reference nodes. And this time around you have like sort of like reference nodes this time around, so it's cool. And then you start pointing like how you want to for the second group of nodes, while referencing from your first group of nodes. What I can imagine is that they're gonna like create this first group of nodes, right? The first group of nodes, right? And then the second group of nodes. Second group of nodes is the one you emphasize the most on. So you sort of like temporarily action verb towards the end one, and then eventually the end one is gonna like, because n1 is somewhat linked to n2, right? So you all the ones that are at the n1 is eventually being re-action verb over to the n2 eventually. But you are just temporarily action verb towards here, so that you can action verb towards the n2 after. So that's what I think. That's what I think at least. Or maybe just n2 you are just able to action verb throughout or on n2, because n1 gives you the reference point. Basically, group of n1s, just a group of reference point for n2 to actually action verb everything one to another. That's what I believe. Yeah, I mean, if you were to actually argue in the grand scheme of things that you want to actually argue that you want to brute force, sure, I think that was like the first rule that we say, that we establish all the nodes, we start pointing at the node, and then during the third node we found out that, oh crap, I didn't establish this thing. So that's why we started thinking of a solution. How can we actually create these reference nodes per se? And then we say that, okay, we need to create a dummy nodes, and it's a group of them. It's not just one of it, not two of it, it's a group of them, a total n number of it. Dummy node, using the hash map, creating a first group of like dummy nodes that's being attached to the key, and then the value is grouped to the second group of the actual nodes per se, and then start doing the manipulation that we want to do based on the diagram. So yep, I think that's it for this one. Everything comes to an end.